Oh, is that not the, no, I didn't print this. That's not the details.
I have, does not appear to. I have one for Friday.
Okay, well, that won't be in there. So, oh yeah, is it just printed off? I just printed. Okay. So I just want to show you what I had.
To be over here, it's a table, friendly faces.
This isn't the most important. I'll show you on mine.
This, all right, the kids go to work.
Oh, there you go.
I had it.
7.5 and 1.5.
Okay, so it just got it.
Okay.
So we'll try it.
Yep, she's throwing.
Get up to no trouble.
Yep. The boys still got their baseballs that you can. Yep. Yeah, they do. They have to sit on certain part of the grass shelves and I'll shoot around them. It's pretty cute. Yeah.
Now, is that your rule here? You gotta stay behind that counter. That's awesome.
Yeah, they can't come up, we don't allow forward. 1 year, I don't know how many years ago, was that 15 years ago? I was standing right in Doug hands, and while the meeting was going on, I was checking the box. And I didn't realize his line was way up on the computer. He couldn't. You know, live from the forum in Montreal, you know, I was just, my face was, you know, so beat red, I was so embarrassed. Sit tomorrow night. Yeah, they open up time.
Do we know to go?
Yeah, we're gonna go see.
Right.
We're going down to Washington for Thanksgiving. And when are there for Thanksgiving. Yeah, they play on like Friday night. Buffalo plays Wednesday night.
Still over.
Montreal, yeah, Forum. Yeah, we like Canadian fans.
Go up and do stuff, but he's out with a, says hello.
Yeah, at least he says hello. He hasn't lost the power of speech from the
No,
result
that's
of
good,
this.
it means they're working on me.
Yeah, I would imagine, because he couldn't have been out that long, so he's probably still a little loose.
Oh, he's in that honeymoon phase now.
Okay. Till we're off.
I think, I thought they said they're keeping him 2 days. Because I think it's all of them.
Oh, that's good though.
I was told.
Oh, we've got forum now.
Yeah, Emily's here, Amy's. Hello, Megan.
You want to thaw from yesterday?
That was too cold.
It's that time of the year.
The wind, is it? It would have been okay without the wind up there.
We're just doing the forecast for Friday night for the homecoming parade. So it looks like, last I saw anyway, it's low 50s. I haven't seen rain yet.
are you?
Although last Friday it was rain.
This is his first experience creating a couple showers.
Not that I noticed.
Look at his back
Window outside with the grill, facing the grills.
Always.
It's a honeydew thing.
He wins every game. You score on him.
All right, well, I've got 6:30, so I'm gonna call our meeting to order. And as I do that, I'll take a motion to move to executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person or persons.
I didn't hear that.
All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right.
We're gonna head downstairs in my office. Okay. Down the stairwell. It's actually good.
Yeah, I brought the executive summary, I'll walk through it quick.
Okay, good, thank you.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
a motion to approve the minutes of the 9/26 regular meeting. Questions or comments? All those approve? Opposed? Abstentions? Yep. I have really no opening comments, no additions to the agenda, correspondence, or any of that, so I'll turn it over to Superintendent Turner.
Okay, I've got three, I believe, exciting bits of information to share with you. The first is we have some sectional tennis players that are going to be headed to Oneida High School on Thursday at 3:30. Emma Eppinger and Lauren Franco won 3 separate matches at the sectional qualifier earlier this week, and they will play in the finals of the sectional championship on Thursday, starting at 3:30. So we're excited for them and wish them the best of luck. As you know, homecoming is this weekend, this Friday, and we're going to start the day early here at the high school. News Channel 9, WSYR from Syracuse will be here. They'll roll in about 5:30 or so. Tim Fox, who's a Portland grad, and Jeff Kulakowski, a Homer grad, will be the 2 hosts from Channel 9 here. And both Mr. Lisi and Mr. Van Etten and the crew at the high school have organized a whole slate of various student groups to be there to help hype everything on TV for the football game against Cortland on Friday night. As you know, we have a staff development day on Friday, so we're going to be inviting kids to come in on their day off. And from the early responses, it sounds like there are going to be a number of kids doing that, so we're looking forward to that. The other thing, it's more of a district-wide message. Actually, John heard it earlier today in the ILC meeting that we had. There's been an expansion of the community eligibility provision in New York State. In layman's terms, that means they've lowered the threshold for students to get lunches for free. In the past, it's been, you had to have 40% of your student population be eligible in order for everyone to get a free lunch. They've just lowered that threshold to 25%. And so we are free to file an application with the state, which we'll do this week. And once it is approved, because all of our buildings have been 30 to 38%, so all of our schools will be eligible. So after the application is approved, the first of the next month is when you can start offering lunches for free. And we'll be doing that. Hopefully we can get it started so that November 1st, if not November 1st, December 1st. So we're excited about that. We know how much families appreciated that and needed that during COVID. And it was difficult to go backwards. So we're excited and that the state has recognized the importance of that. So you'll see us filing that, and I'll be talking to our community about that.
That brings us to our board presentation tonight.
Yes, as you know, this is not typically where we meet. Back in the old days, we did before H-Tech, but we have, this is our high school highlight night. And Mr. Van Etten is here from the high school to talk about a new and exciting program we have at the high school.
Thank you, Mr. Turk. I'm going to try not to talk enough. Let our student and teachers' words guide that. Hopefully you were able to see a lot of spirit as you came in the building. Mr. Turk obviously highlighted Student Government Spirit Weeks, which we're fortunate because of how the calendar is. Students have enjoyed that, and it's been a lot of fun with the Friday and homecoming activities. Initially, when we began planning for this highlight, Mr. Gamble, our driver education teacher, was looking forward to be here with you. The success of any program isn't in the principal, right? It's in the people that deliver services to students. We're pretty fortunate in that. So how does that explain why Mr. Gamble is not here? Rick came to me in a quandary probably a week or so ago and said, Doug, I know we talked about being at the board meeting with the high school highlight, that's really important, but I had a student reach out to me. So Rick is with a student, we reached out to him to talk about how he was that significant person for that student. That doesn't surprise me. We're fortunate enough to know Mr. Gamble professionally for almost 2 decades now. And I will tell you, Mr. Turk will tell you, very nervous as we embarked on this journey because as a driver ed teacher, I know it's important to have the right person beside your student behind the wheel. We're fortunate enough to have Rick. Rick, you'll see the video, his words will speak to that as well as the students' words. But his character speaks to that. So it seems odd that I would tell you that the fact that he's not here tonight proves for me he's our right person, but there was no doubt in his mind when he engaged with that student, we started to say, hey, I'd really like you to be with me tonight. So one more piece of evidence, just a little story. Driver ed can be a little nerve-wracking for students sometimes, especially if your kid's never driven before. I had a young person who signed up for the course, started talking with her counselor, started talking to me, well, Mom really doesn't want me to take driver ed. She wants to teach me how to drive, and so I'm going to drop driver ed. I said, yes, okay, have you talked to? So we worked through that, and we had a nice conversation with Mr. Gamble about, hey, you may have a little bit of a nervous student here. Every kid's a little bit nervous that first time they get back. Some of you have been fortunate enough to teach your young people how to drive or work with them through that process, so you've seen. So we worked through that, talked to Mom. More importantly, Mr. Gamble worked again to settle a relationship with that student and say, hey, listen, there's no worries. We'll go slow. I'm going to make you drive down 81 the first time. And got her behind the wheel. And the response from her that first day when she saw me was, it wasn't that bad. Which doesn't seem like a win, but it's huge for a young person who's nervous about something like that. So again, I'm really happy with the start that we're off to. We have 2 full sections of driver education class being offered every other day. 15 period 3 on the odd day, a full 20 homeroom period 5 on the even day. Mr. Gamble is teaching lab, as we're calling it, 5 periods a day, including 9th period. We have worked around the twists and turns of finding that extra period for a student to drive. In some cases, kids had study halls. That's the easy one. Or there was a lunch period, or periods opposite driver ed. But in our handful of our kids really have check-full schedules, and so that's taken a little bit of creativity. So appreciate the rec, appreciate the students, also appreciate the staff who's been patient as we work through that. I think you'll see the students' words, it's paid off. Appreciate your support, more importantly, appreciate the opportunity to tell our story about our journey in driver ed. I turned it on hot.
He's trying.
I haven't had. Well,
I know, they're loud, right?
It's behind the wheel. Something's doing.
We parent our students with all the tools necessary to keep them and those around them as safe as possible. That's the goal of the Homer High School Driver's Education Program. Students who participate in driver's education learn safe driving habits while gaining confidence behind the wheel. Something students have said make a huge difference.
I think it's really beneficial because, like, I didn't have a ton of experience driving, and now I get to do it during the day. Like, every other day I get to go out, and when I'm not going out, I get to learn, and I also get to watch. So it's definitely helped me. I got my license, and I think this was a big part of why I passed.
It's 20 minutes out of the building and doing something different than I've done for the last 10 years. And it's just really nice to be able to get more experience with it and not just kind of be thrown out there and expect to know everything.
For the 2023-2024 school year, the driver's education program has shifted back to during the school year, a change from previous years when the program would be held in the summer. This change has enabled new possibilities and opportunities for our students here in Homer.
Everyone always talks about lifelong learning. This is a lifelong learning class. It's something that every student needs. It's something that every student needs help with. It's been a long time coming to get back into school during the year, and I think it's a great opportunity for these kids to get credit for it, have some experience.
The revised program has been a major success at Homer, with students excited to hit the road with some hands-on experience.
I was so nervous for my driver's test, and I had like a drive time the day before, and it just helped so much. I got to practice parking and a big quick turn and everything.
I feel a lot more comfortable in the road. Like, there's a lot of rules you need to know. It's not just about, like, moving. I think, like, knowing, like, what to do in the intersection and, like, when to stop. Just everything. Turn signals. Like, he's talking about basically everything, right? so it's really helped.
They're learning a lot, they've come a long way. We've had a lot of kids that have zero experience, and I mean zero, never been behind the wheel of a car when they started with me. So we get them right out there as quick as we can, get them on the roads, and I think it's a great thing, and I think they've progressed a long way already, but we've got a long ways to go.
Rick's much louder in real life, so I apologize for the low audio. He really has that personality that grabs kids. And that was something I hoped for, but now it's something we need. So, again, thank you for support of this. We are planning as we head towards the second semester, obviously, to re-advertise the fact that we'll have 2 sections. They may be 3rd and 5th. We're going to find where the kids are and schedule it that way. Rick has been great about being flexible as we set up the driving schedule. So we're excited to move forward.
Thank you, Doug. Questions for Doug?
Oh, yeah.
Did you notice I looked at you as I asked the question?
We gotta talk sometime. How many students can take it? Like, so we're at 35, what's the max?
So
that we
40
have?
would be the most. We
Okay.
actually had, that 3rd period class had a few more students into it who withdrew. We have, the waiting list we had was for 5th period. So we were ready to add kids up to a certain point. One of the things you have to remember for certification in driver ed, it's not just the passing grade, it's the number of hours behind the wheel in the classroom.
Okay.
Which we had more than enough for, but we hit a point where then you gotta make every class. And that's the benefit of having more than enough right now is, we're working through issues with some attendance that's gonna come up, illness that's gonna come up. Mr. Gamble's been working with students to reschedule drivings where we can find time to do that. And right now, we're on track. We'll continue to monitor that as we go along. But that's a piece of it.
So we can accommodate 4 times as many as our summer program that we previously had. 'Cause that was 20, we can now accommodate.
With a teacher in the summer and 4 weeks, it's 20. My hope would be that we'll be probably just short of 80 when we get done at the end of this week.
Will you still offer it summer too, or no?
I don't want to speak to the budget and Superintendent Turk's vision.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it yet. I mean, I think we should wait. We'll wait and see if it's something that we.
It
I
may
mean,
be
the
worth some
problem
data
with the
collection.
summer, it was so restrictive, you know?
Well,
And
in
so,
addition, didn't she say she's done? Or has
Well, I
she
mean,
said that before?
That's all instructor dependent. I don't want to
oh,
predicate
yeah, no, if we
whatever.
see a value in having it in the summer, we can figure out how to get that done.
I don't know. I'm excited, there's 35 kids in now. There are kids who've expressed an interest in the spring. So again, as we head towards that first of the year, we'll start building that. And it's been a good first 5 weeks of the program. I'm excited to continue to move forward.
I think it's amazing, and I super appreciate what guidance did to shift schedules after schedules had been made and stuff. So
Yeah,
I
that
know
made
a
it a
lot of
little
work
more
went
difficult,
into making it all happen, and I think it's awesome.
But I think it's like anything, once the kids start talking about it, how much they enjoyed it and how much they've gotten out of it, I think it will almost sell itself. Right out of the gates, it's worked out really well.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Board.
appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure.
That brings us to our new business. And so the first piece up is looking at our external audit and corrective action plan. So need a motion to entertain that. All right, and before we do questions and comments, Dwayne is here to give us kind of a 30,000 foot. We don't want to get too far in the weeds because we want to leave before midnight. But
I could talk about this.
well, that's why I wanted to put the guardrails.
And he has, so.
I wanted to put the guardrails there that we are deeply interested, but not that deeply.
Thank you. So, well, first of all, thank you for, a couple hours to discuss this with you.
Nice couple hours.
Funny guy, funny guy.
I want to start by thanking Mike. I know he's not here, but he was so helpful, as he always is, getting us everything we needed. Also, I want to thank everybody at OCM, I know they're not here either, but everybody worked really hard, everybody worked really well to get us everything we needed so that we were able to get things done nice and timely. We did meet with the audit committee last week and went into quite a bit more detail. So this evening, I'm just going to kind of hit the highlights for you. From an overall perspective, the results of the audit are very strong. We had no issues, we had no findings with the district's financial statements. So that's all really good information. I've handed out an executive summary, which I just want to kind of walk through and hit a couple of the highlights for you, just so that you get a little bit of a picture of the financial standpoint. So first page after the cover refers to 3 different types of reports, but they're all within the financial statements, all within the financial report. So we're issuing an unmodified opinion is the technical term. It means a clean opinion. It means that we believe the financial statements are fairly stated, don't require any modifications. So that's the kind of opinion you want to get, and that's the kind that you got. We have to do the audit in 3 different formats. So we have to do regular auditing standards, and then we have to do government auditing standards. And government auditing standards require that we issue a report on internal control and compliance over the district as a whole. We've issued that report, and that's also a clean report, so there's no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies in the internal control system, and no non-compliance with laws and regulations. Right, so another clean report. And then because the district spends more than $750,000 a year in federal money, we have to do another report on internal control and compliance, but that one's specific to that federal funding. Okay? And that report also had no findings, no material weaknesses, no significant deficiencies, no non-compliance. In total, the district spent about $3.8 million in federal money. Every year we select different programs to test, and we look at those programs, do some testing of controls, of procedures, of expenditures, and again, we didn't have any findings. So all clean on that. Next page in the executive summary refers to some other separate reports that are issued. There's a management comment letter that has no issues in it, so no findings during the audit. And then there are 2 documents related to the extracurricular activities. There is a separate financial report as well as a comment letter. There were a few things in the comment letter, but overall it was much improved from what we've seen in the past. So a lot of work was done to kind of smooth out some of those things, and there was not nearly as many issues with respect to extracurriculars. So that's also good news. We've also issued what we call a communication letter. Auditing standards require that we communicate certain aspects of the audit with you at the conclusion. So there's a communication letter in with all the other audit documents. It's mostly boilerplate language. There was one reference to a new accounting standard that took effect this year, but there was no impact on the district's financial statements. It's a new statement on computer software arrangements, but all the arrangements that you have, none of them met the criteria for how they get reported, so no impact. Page 5 and 6 of the executive summary are a couple of nice cool charts that we do. And I should mention, these are based on the district as a whole, so these are not within any particular fund. These are all the funds put together. Page 5 is a chart of revenue, and this shows kind of where the money comes from, percentage-wise. You can see state sources a little bit more than half of the total, each of the 22 and 23 years. Property taxes a little more than a third of total revenue both years, and then other sources make up the rest. Some federal, some grants, and some other sources. And then the next page shows where the money goes. Again, both years. Instruction is about 8% of the total in each of those 2 years. General support, 10-11% in each of those 2 years. And then the rest is everything else, mostly transportation, a little bit for school and program. Beginning on page 7 of the executive summary, a couple pages on the general fund. There's 5 years worth of trend information here so that you can get a little bit of a sense, for how things have changed over the last few years. If you look at the top of page 7, you see that total assets in the general fund are about $1 million less than they were a year ago. And that difference is basically the difference in cash. So cash and investments in the general fund declined from 9.6 million to about 8.5 million at the end of June of 2023. The bottom of that page shows the liabilities. Overall, not much difference there, an increase of about $100,000. The retirement system number is up a little bit, the accounts payable are down a little bit. Retirement system number is up a little bit because the rates went up a little bit, so those numbers are relatively unchanged in total on the liability side. And then if you turn to page 8, you see the fund balance. Again, 5 years worth of information there. In total, fund balance declined in the general fund a little more than $1 million, from $7.5 million to $6.4 million. The restricted down a little bit, $100,000 was taken out of the reserves. Then interest earnings went in, added a little bit. The assigned fund balance is the amount appropriated to the current year's budget plus carryover encumbrances. And then the unassigned fund balance declined from about 1.6 million to a little less than $1 million. You're required to be less than 4% of next year's budget in that unassigned category. The district is at a little bit more than 2% at the end, so within that 4% limit. The bottom of page 8 shows the revenues in the general fund. All in all, pretty comparable from year to year, a decrease of about $100,000. Property tax is almost exactly the same number. State sources up just a little bit, and then other sources down just a little bit. So all in all, not much change on the revenue side. And then if you turn to page 9, you can see the expenditures on the top of that page. In total, an increase of about $700,000, so really not much change there, about 2% from one year to the next. The general support is up a little bit, the instruction is up a little bit. Employee benefits are up a little bit, and then debt service is down a little bit, that offsets some of those other increases. The bottom of page 9 just shows some selected information for some of the other funds. Capital outlay during the year was about $3.7 million. You can see that number kind of varies from year to year, depending on the status of capital projects. Special aid fund had about $3.5 million in revenues and expenditures. You see the last couple of years have been much higher for the special aid fund than years prior. That's mostly the COVID funding, because that money goes through the special aid fund before it gets spent in the general fund. As those COVID grants kind of go away, the special aid fund will probably go back down to where it historically was in terms of overall revenues and expenditures. And then school lunch fund, a little bit less than it was the year prior, but more revenues than expenditures in the school lunch fund by about $80,000. Page 10 just shows the total fund balances in different categories, the reserve funds listed there, and then the assigned and the unassigned at the bottom. Page 11 shows that calculation of unassigned fund balance. So the current year's budget, it was about $47.2 million. So the maximum allowed is $1,087,000, and you're at $987,000. So again, you're a little bit more than 2% of next year's budget. Page 12 shows the activity in the reserve accounts. Again, the ERS reserve was used $100,000 during the year. And then a little bit of interest reserve, and nothing was added to the reserves. Page 13 and 14 are condensed budget comparison schedules. So page 13 is the 23 year, and then page 14 is the 22 year there for comparative purposes. You can see that revenues ended up falling about $700,000 below the final budget in total. State sources well below the budget, almost $1 million below the final budget, $928,000. Property taxes a little bit more, the star revenue a little bit less, and the other things like interest earnings and refunds from proceeds and everything else was a little bit more. And then down at the bottom of page 13, on the expenditure side, the actual expenditures was about $630,000 less than the final budget. So within the budget on the expenditure side. And then the final page of numbers, page 15. So this page takes a look at the government-wide perspective. So this takes all of the funds, puts them together, includes your capital assets, includes your share of the statewide pension system, includes an actuarial calculation for retiree health insurance obligations. So this is everything, district-wide. And you see at the top half of the page, the district is showing a net deficit of about $15 million in total. That's basically because that retiree health insurance obligation shows up as a liability from the government-wide perspective. There's no money available to offset it, right? So you've got this big liability, you've got nothing to offset it, so that means you show a deficit, right? This is very common. Almost every school district that we've worked with has a deficit, so it's not really something to be alarmed about. And down at the bottom of the page, you see we've shown that deficit if you remove the pension obligation and you remove the retiree health insurance obligation, those things that you have no control over and you have no ability to fund, you can see at the bottom of the page, the deficit is much smaller. It's $3.6 million, so it's a lot less when you consider those things that you can't really fix. Last page of the executive summary just mentions there was one change in accounting standards that took effect this year that had no impact on the financial statements. There was a change in accounting for compensated absences, paid time off. It's going to take effect in a couple of years, just changes the way that those obligations are reported and calculated. So those are the quick highlights. I hope I wasn't too fast. I think I was within 2 hours. So that's me. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
You said the most we could grow was 4%, what's the least we
The least, I guess, is 0, right? I mean, technically, you can be negative, but yeah, there's no floor there. So yeah, as long as you're below 4, you're in accordance with the law. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, terrific.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Good night.
So now that we've heard all that, we need to take action. We already motioned it, we seconded it. So all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? So now we'll move to motion to approve the warrants and claim auditors reports. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to approve the treasurer's report. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? For information, you have an investment summary as well as a budget status report and revenue status report. That'll bring us to Mr. Moore and our report from the Committee on Preschool Special Education. Motion to approve. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, then we'll move to motion to approve the report from the Committee on Special Education.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Next, I need a motion to approve a tax refund in the amount of $1,601.54. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Motion to approve another tax refund in the amount of $1,362.54.
So,
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, motion to approve disposal of items from the special education department.
so moved.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, so now we have first reading of our policies. So there's we received these. We'll get them twice, so we'll hit them now. We'll get them again at a later date for action on them. If you do have questions now, I invite you to refer to the particular policy by number so that can be addressed. I didn't ask for one because I didn't think I needed, well, do we have to motion the approval of the first reading? All right, so President Harris will fix that. So I need a motion to approve the policies for first reading.
Second.
Now, questions or comments? I can be trained. All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, that brings us to personnel. Motion to approve the personnel as recommended by Superintendent Turner. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? All right, informational items.
Yes, informational items. We have some fundraising updates from the high school. The FFA will be selling some fruit. DECA will be selling some candy bars. The Environmental Club will be selling some wreaths and poinsettias. In the class of 24 through 27, selling some t-shirts. So an opportunity to do all your holiday shopping right in one fell swoop.
Always good to know where my paycheck's going. Yeah, I'm not seeing any, but this would be our time of public comments. Anybody? Interpretive dance, public comments? No, Mr. Moore, we're talking your language with interpretive dance. We'll hold you to that. All right, so we do have a few board committee reports, audits, anything additional to what was shared with us?
Johnny?
Yeah, Mike asked me to share. We met with Chuck, Emily, Mike and myself. We met with representatives from the 3+1 group. We met with, I think it was Garrett
Cooper scored up.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And so, so they kind of did their presentation of what they had to offer. They classified themselves as like liquidity managers. So they're not necessarily financial advisors or investment brokers or anything like that, but they were pressing their data-driven recommendations that they can provide for districts and basically allocating our getting the best bang for our buck, where our money's at, and stuff like that, helping us find where the best investments might be, how to get the most out of the banks that they're working with, or making those investment decisions with the money and assets that we have. They use the service they were offering was a Cash Vest, which is kind of like allows us to aggregate all of our data into like one component, which Mike definitely saw some value with and things like that. But other than that, I mean, they provided a great presentation for us as a group. We definitely had some follow-up questions with them, and we did speak to the fact that we would like to maybe see a couple different options, so we had a comparison group with this type of thing, especially moving forward. But overall, I thought it was I was glad that Mike brought this group to us, and it's I think a great starting point for the district to move toward that, really kind of amplify our money and really utilize our resources in a great way. So,
Somebody researching a comparison group or no?
Yeah, Mike's looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the things, Mike and I had met with them in the summertime and ask them to talk to the audit committee. One of the things we certainly will want to do is look at some districts that we are familiar with, talk to some districts that are using them, see what their experience, then we would bring it back to the audit committee, and then we would eventually make a recommendation if we choose to go that way. Just about, as John did a good job of identifying, it's just about trying to maximize the district's resources in what will soon become a pretty uncertain funding environment. So, yeah.
Anything else from audit?
Just then, if we find something we like, we're gonna actually bring it to a board meeting where they're gonna present it to all of us, so we can all see it. So it's not just the committee.
Yeah. And budget and finance.
I think Dwayne hit on all kinds and maybe a couple more.
That's
I
fine.
don't know.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Anything from policy? I just want to make sure we're giving space.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that.
You two blunders. All right, then district committee reports. Instructional leadership.
Yes, we had a instructional leadership council meeting today. Well-attended meeting, as they typically are. We looked at, first agenda item was looking at the ILC calendar for the year, kind of connecting on everyone's calendars so they know when and where the meetings are. We are changing our meeting structure this year to try out something new as opposed to having 10 meetings. We're scaling it back to 5 meetings, having more meaningful agendas for the 5 times that we meet. Then we spent some time looking at the staff development day this Friday. We went through that, kind of how we arrived at that agenda, and we're looking forward to having Brian Medler here to talk to our faculty and staff in the morning, dealing with the challenges that current educators face with certain students and behaviors and how to best deal with them. In the afternoon, we're going to continue our work with inclusive schooling. Julie Costin and Christy Franzek will be here to talk to our staff about tips and tricks and strategies for differentiating their instruction for all students. So we're looking forward to a full day of filling teachers' toolboxes with new strategies and new ideas. Then we looked at looking at rolling out a new APPR online module per se. Currently, for the past few years, Finn Incorporated has managed a comprehensive database of APPR housing for all teacher evaluations. We're moving away from that to a web-based system, Frontline Education. We currently have Frontline in our district. We use their absence management module. We also use their professional growth module for our conference approvals. So this will just be a third module that we'll have in our district. We're rolling that out now, getting ILC membership up to speed on that. This summer, we looked at this upcoming summer, so summer of 24. We're in year 3 of our 4-year curriculum review cycle. This summer, 2024, we'll kick off with pre-K through 12 science, art, and music will be the content areas up on the curriculum review cycle this summer. We looked at some housekeeping matters as far as our shared curriculum drive. And of course, we did a plug of trying to recruit our ILC members to the strategic planning process, both close out and driving committee attendance with our ILC members, which would be fantastic. We went around the room and had great ideas around other things we can do in the district and what ILC can support. So it was a productive meeting. It was an information-filled agenda, but a productive way to kick off the year with our ILC. Any questions? John, you were there if I missed anything. Appreciate your attendance. Yep. Let me know you want to be part of ILC. I'll add you to the email list. And
It's all in or nothing?
yeah. The minutes will go out to the entire district. So the HCSD staff email, you'll see the minutes of all the meetings. You'll have each document's linked, the schedule, the agendas. You'll see everything. So, yep. Interested?
I think I'm good where I'm at. Our policy, that's a lot of meeting.
It is.
Right there. But I am interested in what we do.
Yep. You'll see the copy of the minutes come out.
You can work with a lot of the people that actually are the action part of the school. So
Absolutely.
I would just love to listen to what their ideas are.
I think brings us to board member activities.
Everywhere, all the time. Kids and kids.
I will highlight our outdoor and indoor concession stands. Last year, they began a new process of how that's engaged. It used to be like this, like massive, everybody tried to sign up, and usually the same 5 people always signed up. This year, they moved it to, especially for the outdoor, different clubs and activities and different sporting events sign up to come and work an event, and they get a portion of the proceeds. The music boosters are the ones who kind of operate and run the financial end of that, and that's how we're able to add things like accepting credit cards and things like that. And so they've been working on that last year and this year, and it's a really great way for our students to raise a little money and support the community through the concession stand. So when you're at the events, certainly at football games, but at any event, funnel people down through the concession stand. That's how we help support our students.
The indoor concession stand helps the after prom party. I've been big with that the last 4 years. My girls were juniors and seniors. Now that my son's a freshman, I'm taking them. So I'll be a helper. Excited, but that's a really big, huge chunk of the money towards the after prom party is that indoor concession stand. So if you're, Sarah's really big into scheduling and that, but that's just something, I think it goes out in Parents Fair. The link to sign up if anybody randomly has a 2-hour time slot they want to pop in.
Great. Upcoming events?
Yes, busy time of the year, just this week between now and the end of the weekend, the junior high open house is Thursday night at 6, if you're able to attend. The aforementioned superintendent conference day on Friday, homecoming on Friday, and on Saturday, the junior high fall festival from 11 to 2. Kara has ordered sunny and 75 for those activities. So if you're able to, love to have you in the buildings and take part in what's going on.
Great. And I'll take a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Thank you, everybody.
Short.